We're so excited to have you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to
Of
just talk with
course.
us and communicate with us. And, um, everything that we've seen the last 2 weeks
Hmm.
has been very hard.
Yeah, it
It's
has.
been very painful. It's obviously struck something within my heart.
Hmm.
And I'm sure there's no doubt about it that there's been a lot of hurt in the Black community.
Yeah. Um, Probably a lot. Okay, probably a lot more than people realize, and I think that's the most disheartening part. When we actually try to speak to other people that are outside of our race, and we try to explain to them, what we're really going through, and it's kind of hard to actually explain something that you constantly experience and it becomes a normal because it's like,
Mm,
why am I explaining something that happens every day?
mm,
But then when you think about it, it's like, but it happens to us every day. It doesn't happen to everyone every day. So I think that's something that's super important to talk about. It's something that's super important to even, know. And I fully encourage everyone to just do as much research as possible. There are so many things out there that will give you the answers you're looking for. But even if you can't find what you're looking for on the internet, speak to your friends. Like if you don't have any friends that are outside of your race, find some. It's important.
mm.
I thoroughly encourage diversity. I really believe diversity is going to be what's going to unify us a little bit more, because then we'll all get to understand and know exactly what each person is feeling at what time, and how they react to certain things that are going on.
Mm.
So I think that's extremely important. So that's one of the things I do, definitely want to talk to you guys about today. So I really hope you guys have some questions for me, because I'd love to answer some questions from you guys. But yeah, it's deep. It's really, really deep.
Yeah, we touched up on this on Saturday, the conversation that you and me had, and even just like that 1 hour conversation, you really revealed to me a lot more than I thought.
Hmm.
And there is this sense of ignorance that I have as like a just a white person in America.
Hmm.
And even though like I've had friends of color, and I feel like I've done a fairly good job at surrounding myself with people of color,
I think so.
and I I'm still like there's just this like forced ignorance that I have that I can't seem to shake unless we have these uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, and it's just like what we talked about on Saturday about unlearning what you've learned. And
Mm,
it's hard. I'm not going to say it's not hard, but it is extremely important to unlearn negative things and relearn positive ones.
mm,
There are so many times, even now, me and some of my friends will sit together as 25, 26, 27-year-old people, and we're just like, I remember in high school we didn't learn all of these different things. We just knew about the specifics of what were in this book that they gave us, but we never had, um I guess you could say, we never really had a class or something to actually teach us about our true history, just kind of what America wanted us to know. And
yeah.
I think that's the part that kind of hurts a little bit, because it's like, why do we have to be forced to learn all about your history,
Mm,
but no one needs to know about ours? And to us, it just seems unfair, is really what it is. And of course, now, things have changed, things have grown a little bit to where we have, African American studies classes, and you can take those classes. But I remember in high school, I did take an African American studies class, and my teacher was white. So that initially
yeah.
was kind of like, whoa. But
Not
at the
not
same
to throw
time,
shade, I remember the teacher too.
yeah,
So
and so it was hard to even, not necessarily to listen to him, but it was hard to really grasp what was being taught to us, because again, it was just watered down information that we now know a lot of things that we learned were just not true.
mm,
And then on top of that, there was nothing relatable. Like, there was no way I could actually sit in this classroom. Oh, sorry.
no,
There's no
that's
way I could
okay.
sit in this classroom, actually feel like, you know, you as my teacher is going to understand where I'm coming from. And
Mm,
that was hard to
yeah.
deal with. So again, it's hard to talk about sometimes. It is a very uncomfortable conversation to have, but again, it
Mm.
is a super important conversation to have. So I, definitely encourage you guys to just ask questions, just as many questions, even if it's not right now today with me, just ask anyone, and of course don't do it in a rude way, but just ask as many questions as possible. Like really want to understand what we're going through and what we're actually fighting for.
Mm. That's so important. You mentioned to me the other day, you use this specific word, and I want to use it again, but you use this word that you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
With the murder of George Floyd and everything that we've seen in the news,
Mm-hmm.
I asked you how this has kind of made you feel. And you just use this word exhausted. And I'd like maybe for you to explain what you mean by that so people can get an understanding on how you and others are feeling.
Of course, yeah. So for me, when I say I'm exhausted, I'm exhausted from the constant fight of having to continuously, not really play myself up, but continuously put out this image of myself that's not threatening or that's not, a target for someone. And unfortunately, I'm just born the way I'm born. I was born with this beautiful brown skin, and it's
Amen.
I have to live with, and so um I've been racially profiled myself. Actually working at Claire's was one of the first times it's
Mm,
happened in a public setting, at least.
yeah.
And it was weird because I didn't catch it at first. Actually, who caught it was my manager, and she
Mm,
was a white woman, and she was just like, "Oh no, like we're not doing this." So, that was a whole other conversation. But basically, it's exhausting to have to worry about where you have to go every day, how you have to dress, how you have to look to not be seen as a threat just for living in your skin.
mm,
And it's also exhausting that it's always the same story, always the same narrative. Nothing ever changes,
mm,
and it's it's tiring to constantly repeat yourself. Like
mm.
if you have children, of course you guys probably won't know about this if you don't have kids yet, but if you have kids and you're constantly telling them, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, and they're not, it's exhausting to constantly have to repeat yourself and to constantly fight for something that you believe so strongly in, and it feels like no one's listening.
Mm,
It's exhausting, and we've been doing it for over 400 years, and that's the problem. We are constantly in this same fight of we are equal to you, we matter to everyone, we matter. And it's extremely disheartening when people really put you down for believing in what you believe.
mm.
um it extremely, extremely, extremely sucks, but learn to live with. But it does happen, unfortunately. So it is exhausting. That's the perfect word I can use for it, because I'm feeling everything right now. Like I told Josh, on Saturday, I'm an empath, so I'm extremely empathetic. I feel people's pain. I 100%. I'm feeling everyone's pain at one time. So I'm feeling sadness, I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling not heard, I'm feeling
Mm.
all these things at once, and all of that on me is exhausting. So that's why I use that word. I felt like that was the perfect word to use for that.
Yeah, it was a very powerful word that you used that just made it summed it up for me when after you explained it, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart, and I hope that it breaks other people's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as we kind of begin this conversation, I would like us to be able to prevent this feeling that you're feeling from happening again.
Yeah.
I know we can't do this overnight.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it can't change, in one day. I mean, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But when we have such a history that we do, it's hard to shake that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, me personally, and I just want to ask the question of what can I, as Joshua Balich, a student pastor of a church, of a student ministry in a church, how can I bring awareness to this and help prevent racism from spreading?
Um, I I definitely think the main thing you can do right now is just speak up. Use your voice. Um, silence is consent. I feel like the
Mm,
more you hold it in, the more you don't say anything, the more you don't stand up and fight for your friends, the more it's going to continue to happen, because people are going to look at it as, this is okay, this is something that's normal, and it's totally not. And it's weird, because I was actually thinking about this morning. I remember, I want to say it was probably yesterday, if not the day before, I saw a post on Facebook that said, I don't understand why only Black lives have to matter. Why can't our lives matter too? And we've
mm,
been having this back and forth argument for the longest. And my thing is, we're all American. We all have the power and the ability to protest for things that are not right. So if
mm,
you feel like, on the white side, I guess, if you feel like police are, killing your people just as much as ours, why are you not saying anything?
mm.
Like, that's my stance on it. Why do you just go by and, let them do it and make them think it's okay? You should speak up. You should say something. You should follow our example, if
Mm.
anything. And I'm not talking about, the craziness of the rioting and looting, but the
Right.
actual peaceful protest, the actual people that are out there using their voice, wanting to be heard. I just think that, again, just speak up, use your voice, let people know that, we're here, and we are going to continue to fight this fight until we come to a resolution. And I'm really hoping and praying we can find one soon.
Mm,
But of course, you know, I don't want to go through my lifetime and know that once I pass, my kids are going to have to go through the same thing.
mm,
That's really what I want. I want this to end now. I want it to end before the next generation has to grow up and deal with the same things. I feel like it's already been way too long since it started.
mm,
So, again, speaking up is going to be one really important thing. Voting. If you are old enough to vote, especially for my high schoolers, my seniors who may have just graduated, those of you who will be turning 18 if you're not already 18, I thoroughly encourage you all to go out and vote. It
mm,
is going to be so important for you to do that, mainly because if you look at the history of our actual judicial system, the judges, the lawyers, the um, Senate, the House, the president, all these people are in charge of what happens to our lives.
mm.
And I feel like it's super important that we put people in these positions that are going to want to do the best for us and not the worst. So I thoroughly encourage you all to go out, do plenty of research. I mean, and all of the answers you're looking for are out there, honestly, but do
Mm.
plenty of research on all the different candidates, the different parties. And you don't necessarily have to affiliate to a specific party, but if you do, make sure you just do your research on the specific people in that party that are actually campaigning and wanting to be in these seats, because we're going to need people that are willing to make a change and they don't want to keep things the way they are. You're definitely going to have to do that. So voting is super important. And lastly, I just think also talking to your friends. So even if it's not speaking out to government officials and on your social media and things like that, just grab an understanding and then speak to your friends. Let them know, like, anyone should have to go through. But also understand that as of right now, unfortunately, in this time, this is what they are going through. So we need to stand behind them and be with them and encourage them while they go through this. And
Mm.
once they make it over the hump, we can work on everybody if that's the case, But right now, this is the hill that we're facing, and we have to
Yeah.
overcome it. So I just say those top three things: speak out to your government officials if you can, to your friends, your family, everyone. Definitely going out to vote, and just want to gain the knowledge. Don't necessarily be standoffish. Like, when people are telling you specific things, really sit and listen and really try to understand what they're saying. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Right now, honestly, there are plenty of people in the Black community that are eager to answer these questions. I
Mm.
mean, eager, because they really want everyone, or we really want everyone, to understand where we're coming from and why we're doing the things we're doing and why we're fighting this fight. So I thoroughly encourage you all to ask as many questions as possible. Um, but yeah, other than that, I mean, it's just a situation of stand with those that you love, stand with those that are in pain and are in need right now. That's
Mm,
going to be the most important thing. Just stand with us. That's my,
absolutely.
yeah.
That is so good. And,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, I valued our conversation that we had on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
because it meant so much to me
Oh.
to just sit down and talk to you and hear your side of things.
Yeah.
Because, again, because of my skin color, it's
Mm-hmm.
prevented me from knowing what's going on outside of my world.
Yeah.
And just having a conversation with you really just enlightened me and just it set me on fire. I mean, it really did, because I just saw somebody hurting, somebody I care about, a friend,
Yeah.
and hearing your hurt and hearing your pain and hearing the things that you struggled with just because of your skin color
Mm-hmm.
really set me off and really encouraged me. And so I think for anybody who's listening right now, having a conversation with people of color and hearing what they have to say is so rewarding.
Yes. It really is. It really, really is. And you know, I would definitely say be careful of the
Mm,
specific people you talk to.
okay.
Because there are some that are on the wrong side of things.
Mm,
And it's kind of hard, you know, being a Black person and seeing a Black person be against us.
mm,
That's, I think, worse than knowing someone of another race is against us because you're now being racist towards your own race. And
interesting.
there are many different things, honestly, that can play into that, you know, role into that narrative. There are so many different things that can play into that. But again, that's why it's even important for us of the Black community to also stand up and to speak out and let those people know, like, listen, you unfortunately have been taught wrong. And you now
Mm,
need to unlearn what you've learned, learn something new, and apply this new message to the rest of your life, because that is going to be the only thing that's going to get you far. Um, and you know, like I told you earlier, Josh, you know, this is definitely a good versus evil type of fight. This
mm,
is a wrong versus right. And you know, everyone that has been playing a part of all the things that have been happening recently are old enough to know wrong versus right.
mm,
And I firmly feel like, you know, until we all come back together, and first off, once we come back to Jesus, once we actually come back and, you know, be the people that he's expecting us to be, seeking him, wanting to be saved, wanting to, you know, understand that, for one, this is not him and this is not God causing this to happen.
mm,
God allows things to happen so that we can go out and seek him, so
mm.
that he can come back and say, you know what, enough of my people have come to me to say that they need me, let me help my people. And I feel like that's important to know as well. Praying is going to be your best friend during this
Mm,
time. It has definitely been my best friend during this time. I pray probably 5 times a day, if not
mm,
more. And it's really just because, you know, I pray every time I get in my car, and not just for safety of getting to my destination, but safety that nothing happens on the way to my destination.
mm.
You know, if I encounter someone, things like that. Even when I'm out and about, you know, in public, I'm praying for just those around me, just because we are still, unfortunately, dealing with the pandemic. So now we have
I know.
craziness going on in the government, and we still got a virus
It doesn't
floating around.
stop.
So, right, it doesn't stop. So, you know, having to just worry about all of that on top of, you know, it's a lot. And right now, I just feel like everyone is stressed out. You know, we've been quarantined for
Mm,
months, so now everyone's just kind of releasing that energy and just letting things come out that they've been holding in for so long. And you know, honestly, I've been seeing a lot more change recently than I have in the past 4 to 5 years. And to me, that's extremely important. And it means that we're actually all going out and doing something about it.
yeah.
So, you know, that's really all I can think of is just know this is definitely not a race issue. This is not a Black versus white thing. At least for us, that's
Mm,
not what we feel like it is. It is not a Black versus white. This is a good versus evil. This is a wrong versus right situation. When things are wrong, speak on those things that are wrong so that those wrongs can be changed. That's just what I believe. That's what I've, you know, been holding on to. And I firmly believe that we're going to get to that point. I don't know exactly when, But I feel like we can get to that point. It's just
Mm.
going to take everyone to do it.
Yeah, I thought that was so interesting. As we were talking, you had mentioned the good versus evil thing, and um, when I look back at who
Mm-hmm.
Jesus was a good versus evil. That's how he viewed things. And when he
Exactly.
saw somebody who was being oppressed or
Mm-hmm.
segregated from the crowd
Mm-hmm.
or looked at differently, he said, I'm not going to treat them differently for what they've done, but who they are in me.
Exactly.
And I love that. And I want us to get to that point. And it is hard to be like Jesus sometimes. It's hard. I'm out
It
here
is.
like there's some days where I get cut off in traffic. I'm like, Lord, I want to be like you, God. I want to be like you. But I know the devil's knocking on my shoulder right now. And
That's right.
but I love that you've mentioned that because that is a perfect description of who Jesus was.
Right.
Jesus stood up for those who were being hurt, who were being segregated, because it was a good versus evil.
Right.
He said, I won't stand for evil because I'm all good. And I love that.
Yes, definitely. It's super important to remember to put Jesus first, to put God
Mm,
first. His love is what's going to change the world. And I feel like once everyone has grasped it and accepts it and really fully embraces the love of Jesus, that is when things are going to change. So, at this point, like I said, you can do those three things that I previously mentioned: going out to vote, speaking to your peers, your people that are around you that just may not know, and just praying for change, praying for the better, praying for just a people that are currently being oppressed. And to be honest, if this were the other way around, I'd be just as hyped, for you guys. If
mm,
this is something that was happening to you and your race, I'd be angry. Why?
yeah.
Because I have a lot of white friends, and I, well, multi-racism friends actually. If anyone knows me, I have a lot of friends. So, everyone comes from a different background, religion, things like that. And I've just learned to fully embrace everyone. You have
Mm.
to love everyone that's around you. So, other than that, I mean, that's basically it. I just think that more conversations like this need to happen.
Mm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be on a public forum, but things like this need to happen. We need to sit and just talk to our friends, to our family, and really, just let everyone around you know that this is not a race war. This is not a fight against races.
Mm.
Even though that's how it's being portrayed, that is not what we are about. That's not what this is. That's not what I stand for. So that's all I got.
I love that. I really
Yeah.
do. I've got another question for you. I've got two more questions. And, as we kind of talk about this idea of like standing up for good versus evil,
Mm-hmm.
um, we talked about individuals, what they can do. But as individuals gather, we are the church.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask how we as the church, what we need to be doing in times like this to stand up against people who are being oppressed, people who are being murdered, the terrible things that we see going on. What is it that the church can be doing right now in a Christ-like manner to help prevent the spread of racism
Of
and
course.
good and stop this evil?
Yeah. Me personally, I think that the church right now, other than prayer, of course,
Yeah.
I definitely think that, you guys should be on the front lines as well. I feel like all churches need to be out there, and not necessarily out there protesting every single day, every single
Mm,
night. It doesn't have to be anything like that. But I know, like here in Charlotte over the weekend, there was a church, and I believe it was Matthews, that really just called other churches together and said, hey, we are going to meet here, and we're
mm,
going to have our own peaceful protest to say the church is here. We are here to pray for you if you need prayer. We're here to talk to you if you need someone to talk to. We're here to explain what's actually going on and what we actually stand for. If you want to go out there and actually, make a difference, again, it's the same thing as you being an individual. Speak up and speak out. Let your church be heard. You know, just like how everyone's looking for celebrities to say specific things, look to your church to say the same. You should, you know, have leadership that is on the right side of things. You should have leadership that is, you know, basically saying the same things that we are. You know, we are here to unify. We are here to come together as a people, as, you know, human people, not even just Americans, just as human. And I feel like that is really important. A lot of people like to label things and like to put all these different names to things, but all in all, we're people at the end of the day. We are human at the end of the day. And I feel like we should each be loved on and treated as human. So I think that's going to be super important as well. You know, there's not anything specific I can think of,
Right.
At least off the top of my head, that the church can do. But one thing I can spread to you guys is that my church specifically, we are actually on this campaign as of right now that's called Contagious, or hashtag Contagious Love. So what we are doing right now is we are in the midst of this pandemic, in the midst of all the craziness that's going on. We are still spreading contagious love. So we are going out and donating our time to certain organizations, or we're making snack baskets to take to, you know, service workers, and we're doing basically different things for different people. So, you know, we've delivered some things to fire stations, police stations. We've gone to small businesses, things like that. We're actually right now in the process of, you know, purchasing things from Black-owned businesses to give them some type of business as well. And that's also something else that's super important that you can do. Support Black-owned businesses. Just about everything you can find in a big chain store, you can also find a Black owner of a business that does the exact same thing. Pricing, of course, may be a little different, but you know, you do still have those options. So I definitely say, you know, go out and look for that information. You know, I think that's going to be the most important thing right now as well, is just to spread love, just to really be out there and letting people know that, you know, the love that we have for each other as humans is what's going to help us overcome where we are right now. And again, even if you guys want to join in on the campaign, please do. If you find yourself doing any act of kindness during this time and you want to take a quick picture and post it and just put hashtag contagious love, you'll be attached to us the same way. So
I love that.
Yeah, I definitely think that that'd be a great thing for you guys to do as well. And of course, you know, spread it to other churches that, you know, may not know about it, and we can make this a global thing. And, you know, I think the name was actually incredibly, you know, cute, and it was a nice pun.
Catchy.
Especially for during this time, during the pandemic, you know, contagious.
it's you know, it's really good.
Really cool. So yeah, I would totally say do that. That's something that you can do as well. So. Yeah.
Oh man, Shaquirah, this conversation has been, I wish we had like 5 days to unpack all this.
I know, there's so much.
And maybe, and to be honest with you, maybe we'll have to have you on again. I firmly believe that. I feel like we will need to have you on again. You know, what I love about this is just you and me have been able to rekindle our friendship, you know, and you know what's so crazy is our friendship right now is more important than it was, you know, years ago.
Way more important. And, you know, I firmly want to thank you for still, just being the same Josh you've always been. Like, you've always been so open, so loving, so honest. Like, that's always been you. And I think that's what really attracted me to you in the first place, like all those years ago.
Thank you.
Know, of course, we had mutual friends, but it was
right.
Like, this guy's really cool. He is, you know, super just inviting. Like, you have a very inviting spirit, and I love that about you. So yeah, I'm so glad we were able to reconnect and actually
me too
make the thing. And I would love, and I mean love, to come back on and speak to you guys again. So
I told you on the phone call, we'd love to have you back on Instagram, but we'd actually also love to have you here on campus in person. So you could actually see our students and experience the church. Yes. Shaquirah, thank you so much. Thanks for taking time out of your day to do this. Is there any last things that you have to say that you want to get off your chest right now, or anything on your mind?
Not necessarily, honestly. I feel like I have said a lot. I feel like I let out a lot of good information. If you guys have any more specific questions for me, though, and you want to just reach out to me, you definitely can. You can follow me on Instagram. I follow just about everybody back, so feel free to follow me on Instagram. And I will also be starting, Josh, you and I talked about this recently.
Yes.
I should be starting a new podcast and YouTube channel very, very soon. So once I actually get that up and running, I'll send that information to you guys as well, so you guys can,
We'll take
catch
it and
up
we'll share
and
it.
things like that. So that'll be great. But I think the last thing I want to just say is, if you can vote, just go out, vote,
Do it.
make sure you get the right officials in office so that we can really see some change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shaquirah, thank you so much, girl. It's good seeing you again. I want to continue this conversation as we go into this, even further, because I didn't want to just make this one night and then ignore it again. This needs to be talked about periodically.
Yes.
And we need to continue that conversation. I want to do that. And so we definitely will probably have to have you on again. Shaquirah, thank you, girl. I miss you. Whenever I get back to Charlotte, I'm going to have to hit you up.
Yes, please do. My number does not change. It's been the same since 9th grade. So
okay, awesome. Mine's the same too. I realized everybody here, I still have a 704 phone number.
Yes,
and
you
every
do.
time people in Missouri are like, hey, what's your phone number? And I'll tell them 704. They're like, what's 704? I'm like, it's North Carolina, man. Just ignore it, whatever. So, Shaquirah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We love you dearly, and we can't wait to talk to you soon.
Thank you. I love and miss you so much as well, Josh. So y'all have a great rest of your night, great rest of your day. And, just continue to pray and stay prayed up, okay?
All right. Well, hey, guys, we love you, and we cannot wait to see you tomorrow night on Wednesday. So anyway, we love you, Shaquirah, and we will see you later.
Thank you. Love you guys. See you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Takeaway, guys, if you're taking notes, hey, watch what you're